Hello, my name is Caitlin Bishop. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I work for La Clinica's school-based mental health program, providing individual therapy, parental education, and family support, among other mental health services for the students and families at Jackson Elementary School. I'm here today to explore the topic of intellectual well-being. Specifically, I'm going to share how our cognition changes over our lifespan and things that we can do to support wellness and health in an ongoing way. So firstly, let's define intellectual wellness. Here is La Clinica's definition. Intellectual well-being includes the ways we think, learn, and make sense of the world. We can support intellectual well-being by learning new things and by being creative. Another term I want to introduce before we start is neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is a really fancy word, which simply means that our brains are capable of changing throughout our entire lives. This discovery that brains have neuroplasticity is actually fairly new. For many decades, neuroscientists and psychologists believed that once we arrived at a certain age, our brains stopped growing. But now it's understood that despite age or even injury, there's always a possibility of recovery, growth, and healing. This matters because it means that just like with our bodies, we have the option of supporting our cognitive functioning throughout our entire lives in order to create optimum intellectual well-being. So let's start with childhood. So 90% of all brain growth happens before a child even reaches kindergarten. It's a tremendous amount of change. With all that growth happening, it's really important for parents and caregivers to create a healthy environment to protect children as much as possible from stress. Stress can interfere with brain development and prevent children from learning the skills they need to mature into healthy adults. But it doesn't take anything sophisticated to help shield kids from stress or to promote their intellectual growth. Simply playing with a child is considered the most important and powerful activity a parent or caregiver can do to help a young person be successful. Play promotes creativity, dexterity, cognitive and emotional strength, social awareness, conflict resolution, problem solving. The list really goes on. Play allows children to become competent and develop important skills that they will need to overcome future challenges. So to encourage intellectual well-being for a especially young child in your life, simply take a few minutes out of your day to play. Sit down on the floor, do some make-believe, build a Lego castle, sing some songs. It's good for grown-ups too. Following childhood, we have the period known as adolescence. Adolescence is considered to begin around puberty and end in our late teens, early 20s. An important thing to know about intellectual well-being during this life phase is that because of the hormonal and brain changes happening for teenagers, they're quite vulnerable to mental health issues, including anxiety and depression. Adolescents also need a lot more sleep than both children and adults do. Teens should be getting about 9 to 10 hours of sleep a night, but most don't. A lack of sleep can make it difficult for teens to pay attention. It may increase their impulsivity. It may increase risk for anxiety and depression. So it's important that caregivers and parents can do what they can to help teenagers get the sleep that they need to help their brains grow and develop. In addition to getting enough sleep, a mindfulness practice can help teenagers learn how to cope with stress, manage unstable moods, slow down impulsive tendencies. A really quick YouTube search will yield dozens of guided meditations that are specifically designed for teenage brains. And there's a variety of apps on smartphones that can do the same thing and that teenagers can access whenever they have their smartphones, which, as we know, is most of the time. Mindfulness techniques, breathing practices, etc. can be effective even when they're as short as 30 seconds. And they're really good for everyone in the family. So our third and last life phase is adulthood and aging. Cognitive decline can be a concern for many aging and older adults, but as we learned at the beginning of this video, our brains are responsive to change throughout our entire lives. There are many things that we can do to support our intellectual health even later in life as we age. So there's a lot of research that shows that cognitive decline can be prevented, slowed, or even reversed in aging adults who are frequently engaged in creative, challenging, and cognitively stimulating activities like computer games, reading, crosswords, puzzles, etc. And another important preventative measure that you may not know about is aerobic exercise. There's a huge amount of research that shows that aerobic exercise is perhaps the most important thing that adults can do to help cognitive decline later in life. The federal guidelines recommend that adults get at least 150 minutes of physical activity each week. 20 to 30 minutes of walking a day can really help support and promote intellectual well-being later in life, and it's good for your body as well. So that brings us to the end of this video on intellectual well-being over the lifespan. Thank you so much for your time. Go enjoy a puzzle, a game, or a nice walk. Thank you.